This story came to me by automatic writing, and it was inspired by two people, two very special people. And one of them was Peace-Pilgrim, and the other was a little girl named Sadeko, who believed that if she folded 1,000 cranes, she could have any wish granted. And we all know what she wished. She wished to live because she was dying of a disease caused from exposure to radiation from the bomb that hit in Hiroshima when she was just a little baby. And she was around 10 years old when she came down with the bomb disease. And so she started folding these cranes. Well, when I was first hearing about her, I was an adult. I had never heard this story in all my life. But I went to the Peace-Pilgrim Center one day, and there was a woman there who was wearing a necklace with 1,000 folded cranes. Little tiny cranes. She had folded them and wore them all around her neck, all colorful. It was very beautiful. And she showed me how to fold the crane. And so I wrote down, I didn't write down, but I put a sample of each fold of the crane on a separate piece of paper in a notebook because I knew I would forget how to fold it. So one day I wanted to fold the crane, and Spirit talked to me and said, I want you to fold the crane, but I have a story to give to you with this. And it's going to be called now the dove instead of the crane. And so the story begins. And I just show a picture here of me saying that I want to help the world to be a happy place. And thus begins the dove story. The words on the pictures are the actual words that came through to me from Spirit. The words under the pictures are mine. I call this the children's version because some of the words as Spirit gave me are a little bit on the esoteric side and maybe not too understandable. But what I'm going to do is read both. And here's the square of paper we start with. This square of paper represents everything that can be seen. It is yourself, the trees, the animals, the insects, the ocean, the hills, the moon, etc. Think of it as all that is. Now for the words that Spirit gave me. We start out with an empty sheet. What we make out of it is a flying dove, and with the dove we will soar to heights not reached before. As you fold this paper into a dove, you will take a little trip back through time. You see, this square, all that is, wanted to look at itself from the viewpoint of being a smaller part of itself, such as you and me, looking at our whole self. So all that is put a piece of itself into everything that is. This is the secret not many truly understand. We are one another. Because we are all part of God. This is your chance to make of yourself a lot of character, to live a life and see, hear, taste, smell, and touch a thing called physicality. We came to Earth to experience life in a physical body so that we might be able to recognize in one another different parts of all that is. And on Spirit continued with a remarkable story. Life is a lot like the pyramid. It begins at the top and works its way down to encompass the whole. You don't know what is to be the final outcome of your searching. You move onwards and you overcome all the obstacles in your way as you increase yourself, replacing your old for the new, coming and going on your journey into the expansion of yourself. And there's a picture of the pyramid. And here's our pink pyramid. In a way, it is like God is using you and me and all things in order to experience and influence the world. We are here to be love to one another and to take care of our earth, This is how we grow to become more and more like all that is. You use all the skills you possess in order to make new worlds, in order to enlarge your boundaries. You are macrocosm. In your expanded state, you deem the world as though it were all you. Before you lay a wilderness of excitement that you want to decrease your allness in order to appreciate. You decide to become less than your wholeness, so you fold in upon yourself, making the microcosm. So fold that square of paper from corner to corner. This pyramid shape represents all that is, decreasing its size and multiplying into many, many pieces to send into the world of form, which our world is. Now, these are the folded selves. They look like little butterflies. See, they have a flappy wing. We folded, now wait a minute. The folded self is your own self, only in its consciousness. It does not see itself as the macrocosm it once knew itself to be. While the macrocosm knows its macrocosm self, the microcosm goes into forgetfulness of all that it is. The microcosm wants to experience what it is not in order to know itself in an experience known as the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, as a trinity, a three-in-one, a balance, a proper application of all its components. You are the microcosm, and all that is the macrocosm. In a way, it is like saying that we are part of the whole and whole of the part. For the whole, all that is within us, just as the giant oak tree is in the tiny acorn. You are important to all that is, just as a drop of water is to the ocean. For the ocean would not be an ocean were it not for the billions of tiny drops of water. The beach would not be the beach if not for the billions of tiny grains of sand. So the pyramid can believe in itself in the microcosm stage, for smaller and less experienced can achieve the ultimate of which it came from. And as the altered ego set in to fold the folded I am ego, we were all in the same image as what we came from, still the same creators. Now, fold the pyramid together again so that you have the butterfly stage of the dove. You can see that it takes two to make movement, 2 feet to walk, one to thrust out, and then the other. Duality is experienced in this butterfly stage. You are tall or you are shorter, one color or another color, little or big. This is how we learn, by seeing that which is not like our own selves. Still creating, still calling forth on another level, calling forth smaller thoughts, yet knowing that we were a lot more than we were consciously aware of being. We started carrying ourselves around with our words, creating a form unlike the pyramid we came forth from. Since we are made in the image of all that is, we too can create. We are creating all the time, whether we know we are or not. We are creating with our words. We are creating with our imagination. We have been given free will to create whatever we want, but most of us have forgot how to create like all that is creates, calling all things good. We started comparing and complaining so much that soon we lost our ability to fly like a butterfly. We began to flatten ourselves out as though we could not fly. We caused ourselves to split into opposites in our effort to maintain a balance. For our words were creating for us many things which would get us into a state of dependency. We needed more drama in which to create, and so we opened ourselves up to the many voices we heard coming into our minds from the astral plane. So, you see the little butterfly wings here? They split in half, and this causes this form to turn into the box. And here's the box right here. It has a split tongue in there. You can see that. So now you take the butterfly wings and cause them to flatten and split into themselves. This creates the box. Now we are boxes, but boxes that talk and talk and talk and talk. We began to define and to educate ourselves in such a way that we now had boundaries. Everything must square with everything else, for the truth we thought was something that could be explained, defined, regulated, required. Look at your paper now. It has become the box, and now it cannot fly. But it can still talk very much, still find things it does not like about other boxes. It is separating into many kinds of boxes, all of them thinking that they are the most pleasing to all that is. Look inside the box at the split tongue. It is like the Indians said about white man. He talks with divided tongue, which means that a person talks a good talk but does not do as they talk. Yes, we were very good at letting our forms take control. We squared away all of our parameters and flattened ourselves out as we bowed down to systems and theories and doctrines and creeds. We believed in our view of things, and another's view became something we labeled sinful, blasphemous, without of ourselves. And sometimes we would even burn, loot, and kill in order to keep our form going. We were very emotional and often very scared of one another. It was because we would not allow others to be different than ourselves, especially when it came to our religions. We fought many wars, saying that all that is was on our side, but we were not being like all that is, but were experiencing what it was like to feel hatred and jealousy and greed. It wasn't very fun. When before we were like a butterfly winging our way, going with the flow. We further boxed ourselves in, making a lot of boxes of first one and then another theory. We were looking for our wholeness, but in doing this, we extracted formulas and rituals and sacrifices and all manners of devices we put into place. Sometimes we remembered faintly that we once could fly. We wanted to fly again, but we were so caught up in our little boxes. It was hard to think outside the box, for it was important, we were told, to conform to what was expected of you. Which further boxed us in when we realized that we were not free, that we were meeting our neighbors and trying to box them into a pattern as we ourselves were in. We became aware of the many boxes piling up everywhere. Talking became our favorite pastime, and we defended our box against another's boxed opinion. But we were all caught up in a box. Some of us could take being in a box and felt comfortable and safe and saved from hell inside these boxes. Others of us started to want out of the box and started trying out first one box and then another, always trying to remember something. They were trying to remember who they were before they became caught up in a box. They did not know it, but they wanted to fly because deep inside themselves there was some memory of happier days and flying. We could give you rules and regulations. We could give you rituals and formulas. The form became so binding that many of us began to balk. Many of us told others that we could not be boxed in any longer, and we wanted to go against the rules and the theories that taught us that the rules must be followed. that the do's and the don'ts were the truth that would set us free, and yet we were not free. Something vital was missing that was not found in all of the dogmas and rituals. Many felt from deep in their heart that they had to find all that is within their own selves. So they began to look into everything about empowering their own selves.